Greetings, my fellow Northmen. Welcome back to Vikings. Sorry, Valkyrie profile. Eesh. Excuse me. So, small change of plans. So I went ahead and updated everything off screen so you guys don't have to watch it. But my change of plans is that I'm actually not going to take Belnus into the next dungeon. Instead, I gave him another good chunk of experience, got him up to level 5, and then I maxed out his traits, which as you can see, his hero value is batshit insane. Like, he qualifies for the hero value requirement in, like, chapter 7 or 8, I'm pretty sure. And while that may make you think that you wanna wait to send him then, you certainly don't have to. And actually, I'm pretty sure in the later chapters they start requesting magic users instead. So anyway, and then I leveled up his identified leadership and tactics. So I'm actually going to go ahead and send him now. Since I've made up my mind that I'm going to send him, and he's not that amazing of a character that I want to like play around with, and you guys have seen him fight. Heard all his shit. I'm going to go ahead and transfer him now because I don't really see the point in continuing to have him take up a party slot and experience points for someone else that could be getting them that I will probably be using for far longer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a quick save here. And I'm going to send the character to Asgard. Yeah, you don't have to wait until the end of the chapter to do that. I just did that in the first chapter. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give that slot to... I'm going to give it to Jen. And, unfortunately, that means also that we need to find him a decent weapon. Yeah. So, that's a little bit of a pain, but that's alright. That's a decent weapon. I'm going to give that to him. And then, since he's kind of behind, I'm going to go ahead and give him the emerald necklace, pressed flower, and that's all I can really do for him at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and give him counterattack. He's going to be really weak until he levels up, but once he levels up, we'll be Gucci. And it doesn't honestly matter that he's weak, and you're about to find out why. Let me just run through here, make sure there's nothing else I need to do. Okay, we're all set. Since I sent Belnus up, I'm going to go ahead and give Valkyrie back a sword. And make sure that her skills are still good to go. Okay. And, yeah. Alright, so, off to the Nethov Swamp we go. That's way the fuck up at the top of the map. No, it's the catacombs. My bad. Where is it? Is it over here? Oh, yeah, I guess it is. I thought it was further north. I don't know why. Horrible stench permeates the Nethov Swamp. Noxious fumes steam forth from the ground and call to the undead. Feed on the flesh of the living! Some hidden power must be there causing this unnatural disturbance. Alright, let's go. Sounds like a party. So... I know I promised that this episode would be better because we wouldn't be watching cutscenes and, there'd be combat and shit like that. This music kicks ass. But I didn't need to tell you that. What I do need to tell you is that the Dragonbane is going to make combat for the next several dungeons up until, like, the end of chapter 3 / beginning of chapter 4. Combat is going to be a joke. Yeah. Bye. Rip. Which is good, because, it's hard mode, need every advantage you can get. And as soon as things stop getting one-shot by, whoever's got the Dragonbane, then the game's combat's going to start getting hard, basically. Yeah. Pretty much just lightning bolt everything. That is the golden hammer for the next like 4 or 5 dungeons. But hey, I mean, at least it's you know, at least you're seeing good content. You're not like, you know, it's not like other games. Ouch. Speaking of good content, it's not like other games I've played where like, you know, I'm bad at it or it's blind or I'm good at it, but you know, I'm decent at it, but I'm making a lot of mistakes. You know, hold on, my laptop just updated and got done restarting, so I need to actually and since it's on, it's got its fan running full blast because I have it forced to do that. So there's a lot of fan noise in the background, and it's really annoying. God damn it. I really don't want you guys to have to be listening to that. Hold on a second. Alright, so actually I moved it over to the other side of the room. And oh God, I thought I had a burp. Moved it over to the other side of the room so it can stay plugged in and keep doing its thing. And but you guys don't have to hear the fan noise. You probably wouldn't hear the fan noise because I'm using Premiere now, and Premiere's got, you know, some pretty. I'm getting better at it, so that's nice. But it would still be a pain for me in post to filter that out.
To my side, my noble Einherjar. Don't do anything rash, my friends.
What, you mean like electrocute these fucking plants? Because that's exactly what we're gonna do. We are just fucking Pikachu with Thundershock for the next, you know. Like I was saying, like at least it's good content. At least, you know, somebody that likes this game isn't watching it and being like, dude, he could have gotten the Dragonbane and like just absolutely butt-fucked everything for the next 2 chapters. At least you're not having to deal with that. Hopefully it's a nice change of pace for you guys. There have been some playthroughs where I've been pretty laughably bad, but, you know, those games, I'm playing them because I love the game, and I still want to, you know, show it off and talk to you guys, and, you know, blah, 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 even if it's not, like, a great playthrough. And, you know, there's very few Let's Plays on this channel that don't have some kind of challenge element. Either I'm playing on the highest difficulty I can, or I'm still really proud, honestly, of those no-gill playthroughs I did of Final Fantasy and all that. For my blades. Yeah. Jun is a badass. Alright, so he just leveled up, actually, so I'm going to go ahead and see what I can give him. So we have this new ability called Combo Counter, which basically means that whenever you counterattack, you get to use your full counter instead of just one attack. So that's, you know, that's nice. I'm going to prioritize fight and survival for now, because he's not going to have to hit anything until we get to the boss. Because Nanami is going to be zapping all of it. The other thing that my mages have now is weight reaction, which basically every mage character you have now has access to a familiar. And different ones have different familiars. The more early game mages just have like a little a dove, I think is what it is. It doesn't really say, but you know, later in the game there are mages that have like bats as their familiars, and then also little tiny wyverns. So that's kind of cool. But we won't get any of those people for a hot minute. Naturally, since Nanami is our you know, fucking just since Nanami is the golden hammer at the moment, I'm gonna just continue to prioritize her attacking stats. Yeah. So, Lightning Bolt was hitting for like what, like 763 per hit. in the last fight, so should be hitting for notice to be more. Another cool thing about Valkyrie profile, I mean, it's cool to me, and I guess the opposite of this isn't, you know, uncool, but damage formulas in this game are extremely simple. You know, a lot of games have like really, really convoluted, you know, RPGs at least, or any game that like action RPGs, I know sometimes do this, but any RPG style or vaguely RPG-ish game that your characters have, where your characters have numerical stats. There's always like just batshit crazy like numerical formulas for determining damage dealt and damage taken. In this game, it is super simple. Literally, whatever your stat is, every ability deals a certain percentage of that stat. You know, like, trying to think off the top of my head a good example to give you guys, but you know, like Valkyrie's, in fact, I think it, hilariously, I think it might actually say it in the menu. I'll go check. Yeah, see, now these are all doing like 815. They were doing more to the other guys, and I think it's because of resistance. So like elemental resistances does play a, you know, a factor. But it's all just like flat percentages. Like, let me see here. Energy plus 25. So that plus 25, that tells you how much it fills the PWS gauge by. But yeah, like both of these attacks probably do like, you know, 1 times her attack power. So like, you know, somebody's full combo will be like, you know, their attack power will be 248. So it'll deal, you know, the first hit will be like 248 damage. Exactly. There's no RNG involved. There's no damage roll. And then the next hit maybe is like 2 hits of like 0.5 or 0.75 maybe. And then the final time it'll be like, you know, like a big hit of like 3 times their attack power or whatever, you know? But it's always an exact, precise number, and the only things that change it are like elemental resistances, and then the enemy's RDM, which is their reduced damage, is like a flat reduction of that. I actually don't know how defense plays into it, because I know you have a defense and a resist stat that basically affect physical and magic damage taken respectively, and I think RDM is actually an overall defensive stat that covers both magic and physical damage, I think. Something like that. Avoid and hit are obviously pretty simple. And then the other things are attack and hit trust, which are basically weapon-based modifiers for the accuracy and the damage dealt. So actually I lied. There are damage rolls, but they're specifically weapon-based. And I think some PWSs ignore them. And like, if something's got an attack trust of 100, it's not, that's, you know, like it's gonna be, it's, then there won't be any RNG, basically. Yeah, I think that's how that works. I'm honestly, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm honestly not 100% sure. I wish I was, but I'm not. I have to look it up, so now I'm curious. But it's nice because it means that like you can readily grasp how your stats are affecting your characters and affecting your combat. And it's not, you know, you don't have to sit down and brainstorm it like you might with some games. It's pretty simple, and it makes combat a little bit more predictable, but in a nice way, not in like a, combat's boring kind of way. And actually, speaking of boring, the boss of this the boss of this dungeon is a dragon, and we've got the Dragon Slayer. So this entire dungeon is just gonna be, yeah, all that.
To my side, my noble Einherjar.
To my side.
No matter who the opponent, I shall not yield.
It's actually looked like that Figment might live. Yeah, he must have had like good lightning resist. I've already been here, haven't I? Yes, I have. This dungeon is actually significantly bigger than the previous two. I mean, not significantly, but it's definitely noticeable. The only thing I remember for sure is that the boss chamber is forward to the front, and it's to the front and far left, if I remember correctly. That looks like it's probably the world map. Wow, yeah, I was about to exit the dungeon. Oh, shit. Did not mean to run into those guys. Oh, it's only one. Ouch. No biggie.
Before my blades, all are powerless.
Damn, almost. Finally took some damage. Alright. Come here. It's a good thing we have the treasure search equipped, because there's actually there's treasure hidden in the swamp water. Like, the game does cheeky stuff like that. And it'll play around with the 2D side-scrolling design of the game's dungeons, and it'll hide things behind, backgrounds and such. You see how there's like trees in the foreground? I mean, you can't see it now on the combat screen, but like, I mean, okay, that's a little forward. Makes you think Valkyrie gives a shit about you. Yeah, but so what was I saying? Oh yeah. Really? Never? I mean, you're dead, as evidenced by the fact that you're fighting with a Valkyrie, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So yeah, like sometimes, the game would do something like it would hide a treasure behind this tree. I know there's not one here because there's no blue orb around me, so I know there's no treasure in this room. But still, it's a good thing to keep in mind.
To my side, my noble Einherjar.
We have nothing but to fight.
I have always been curious why these ape monsters are called pongos. So if I remember correctly, isn't Pongo the name of a dog in some work of fiction? Alright, it was lagging there, so I used fast forward to kind of knock it loose. Actually, now I'm paranoid, so I'm gonna do another quick save. But yeah. I'm very paranoid about like losing progress in this game because it's an emulator. This is kind of uncharted territory for me, doing a let's play from an emulator, and I'm worried that something's gonna happen and it's gonna be awful. So trying to be as cautious as I possibly can. And this is a,
I am
you know,
Chukichi.
I know I've said it a bunch of times so far, but like, I love this game and I want to do it. I want to do it justice. I want to give it a good playthrough. Tree is rotting. That was the most weird little sort of dull tree slashing in half sound I've ever heard. But hey, look at all that event experience. Yeah. God. I got a burp, but like it's not coming. Yeah, and I know that like, you know, there's typical Connor shit that you're gonna have to deal with, like me, you know, being ADD and running back somewhere that I've already been and not thinking and stuff like that. But as far as like the actual, you know, non-distraction related stuff and my actual like playing of the game, you know, I want it to be top tier, you know. I don't want it to be shit tier. That and like, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic. I only have seen one other Let's Play of this game on YouTube that I could stomach watching. And it was this, yeah, it must not like the animation of these figments. The animation of these figments must piss the game off somehow. So I'm just button mashing right now, trying to get through it. I should have used... So yeah, the familiar will do like a weak little physical attack when you see Nanami there. She has 4 blocks on her charge turn, so she can't act for another 4 turns because Lightning Bolt's expensive like that. But the familiar can attack for the mage on those turns. It has limitless range and it is unblockable. So while it doesn't do much damage, it's still like really good to start off combos with. And actually that, you know, that thing was almost dead, so all I had to do was whack it with the familiar. Yeah, I think it's something about the animation of certain enemy sprites that the emulator has a hard time with, and so it like, you know, glitches out like that. So far it hasn't actually caused the game to fuck up in any permanent fashion, so I re-enabled fast forward, and so like whenever that happens I'm just gonna hit fast forward and knock it loose. Okay, so that I actually want to go ahead and get that taught to people. Feather? What does that do? Feather from an unknown bird. I don't know why I find that funny. It's just very matter of fact. And yeah, it just makes an elixir. Kinda neat. So converting items, I don't know if you guys have known this, but using transmute actually costs some MP. Oh yeah, so you see there, transmute select item consumes 5 MP. So you actually do use MP to convert items. It's not free, but it costs very little to the point where you don't even really notice it. I mean, you do, but you don't, you know. Go ahead and convert some of these. So if you convert an elemental tome for a spell, it will always convert, until you get the creation gem and creation jewel, it'll always convert into the opposite spell of that element. So like Fire Lance, you know, the single target fire spell will convert into Firestorm. Firestorm will convert back until you get the creation gem or the creation jewel. And what those will let you do is basically, I think the creation gem actually lets you convert across the elemental spectrum. So basically, you know, Fire Lance will become Frigid Damsel, the single target ice spell. And then I think, if I remember correctly, the the creation jewel does the same, but it also does the default effect on top of that. So the single target fire spell will become the multi-target ice spell. Lightning will go across to poison, holy will go across to darkness, etc., etc. I'm not sure why lightning and poison are opposed, but I do think it's nice and interesting and fun that this game doesn't have the stereotypical elements. You know, it's not fire, water, air, and earth. You know, it's different. And, you know, the only one that it really has is fire, the only traditional one anyway. You know, aside from that, you've got ice, lightning, which are kind of, you know, those are kind of Pokemon elements. You got holy, and you got darkness, and you got poison, so it's kind of fun. I actually don't know if dexterity does anything. I'm really curious about it. I gotta look up some stat information in between this episode and the next. We're still on track for the hard mode ending, I believe. I may need to check a guide again in between episodes, make 100% sure that I'm still up to speed on it. I don't think there's anything that you need to do additively to make it happen in the first 2 chapters. There are things you can do to fuck it up in the first 2 chapters, but I know what those things are, and it basically just amounts to doing things early before you're supposed to. Yeah, so like, you see, like, every character has elemental resistances, and they're basically, they're directly proportional to whatever their element is in. So, like, lightning, you know, they're on this sort of graph, but they actually, the relationships vary between them in a well-designed, predictable way. Like, lightning is right next to darkness and fire, and so, like, being lightning elemental also provides like a certain degree of resistance to fire and darkness, a little bit less to holy and ice, and makes you straight up weak to poison. So yeah, sorry, I've dicked around the menu enough. What was it? No, I actually meant to do something. I'm sorry. Go ahead and get combo counter for Valkyrie. No excuse for her not to have that. Wait a minute. I meant to... I thought I got charge. Oh, I didn't actually use it yet. Derp. Yeah, there's charge. So what charge lets you do is it basically, I think it sacrifices a little bit of your DME, your HP, to do to like add an attack to your combo or something like that. I have to check the menu again. Anything else I can do in here? I don't think so. If you're wondering what the Angel Curio is, I know I've kind of skipped past it. It's basically a whenever you die, it automatically revives you, but it breaks very easily, so you want to hold on to these. And even when you do use them, they're not like, they're really kind of a backup for another couple of abilities that we're going to get later. Yeah, so charge. Okay, so it adds like an extra blast of like 1.5 times your attack power worth of damage. And you basically just mash the button next, you know, a bunch of times to perform, and it uses up 5% of your HP. Get that learned. Attack power. And do survival. So Jun's actually got quite a few things he can do right now. Go ahead and get this taken care of for him. Go ahead and like ramp his attack power up nice and good. His evasion up a little bit. And awesome. Charge, combo counter. He does not have charge yet. Yeah, sure, whatever. Charge. Yeah, an enemy's got some stuff. Yeah, it's a weight reaction. As you level it up, the familiar does more damage. It's still not really appreciable, and it's mostly to continue having that source of, because casting spells are unblockable, so they break your, they open up the enemy's guard for the melee attacks, and it basically allows you to keep that consistent every turn. Assuming your mage is alive. If your mage isn't alive, you're fucked. Alright, cool. Cool beans. Any other skills I need to equip? Set up? No. Alright, let's mosey. What time are we at? 32 minutes? Alright, cool. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Do not remember putting a blue sort of blobby. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the fucking, oh man. What is that thing called? Fuck. The Bunyip from Chrono Cross? So you know how when you fight the Bunyip in, Fort Dragonia? Is it called Fort Dragonia? I can't remember, honestly. When you fight the Bunyip in Fort Dragonia, like halfway through the fight, he opens up and vomits out this giant, like, eyeball monster, and it's basically just like a stalk that sprouts out of the Bunyip's mouth. And then it sprouts these two, like, big, like, sort of arms, and it's basically just like a blue jelly looking monster. And the yeah, I totally knew that was there, even though it was behind the tree. I know this game. I'm good at this game. Feels good. Feels good, man. Yeah, it sprouts out of the Bunyip's mouth, and then it's got the two arms that go down on the ground. And I always feel like the sort of like generic monster sprite, field sprite that you frequently come across in here kind of reminds me of that. I feel like there's a treasure back there. Or no, maybe it's all... Damn, son! Fucking jackpot! It's always really fun to find all this shit. Makes you feel good. So I know you guys are wondering, like, I just got weight reaction. You're like, what are you going to do with that? You don't need weight reaction anymore. Yes. But observe. Now we get another ability called Trick Step. If we want, we can convert it again and get Noise Arrow. Huh, holy shit. I'm gonna keep it simple though. I'm gonna go ahead and just use it for Trick Step. I'm gonna transmute this Element Scepter into another Tome of Alchemy. We're gonna be stocking up on these because there's some fights later in the game, specific types of enemies that if you have the ability to end the fight quickly, you wanna. It's not, you know, you can fight them, you can win, but if you have the means at hand, you should end the fight as quickly as possible with some of the enemies we'll encounter later on. And so that's what I will be hoarding those for. And yeah. Anything else I can or need to do from here? No? Okay. Yeah, everybody's doing really solid now. Look at all this. Look at those levels. Look at that HP. Oh, that's the other thing that I totally neglected to mention, is that this is one of the that's another reason why I love this game. So get this. So at the time this game came out, most RPGs that I'd played, and to my knowledge, there wasn't another one, or at least not one that I was familiar with or that was as popular. Most RPGs employed the quad 9 damage cap, or in some games cases like Chrono Cross, for example, the 999 was the damage cap. So there was a hard damage cap on a lot of RPGs for stats and for damage dealt, damage received, that kind of thing. Excuse me. Excuse me. There were a few games that like had like random exceptions that like didn't make any sense. Like, you know, like in Final Fantasy VIII, I think the Blue Magic, Shockwave Pulsar, and Eden, the Guardian Force Eden, could break the damage limit. But it was always just kind of like, okay, so why is that limit in place for everything else? Like, I just don't understand. And then Final Fantasy X made it like a thing where like, you know, you would get like, you would unlock abilities for weapons or, you know, on the sphere grid or whatever. I think it was weapons, not the sphere grid, but and those would let you break the damage limit. I'm sorry, I just realized this is a save point and I can divine items here. Which I thought was really stupid. Like, that seems like if that limitation is in place, it should be like a software or hardware limitation. Like, otherwise, you know, if you get strong enough to do 10,000 damage or more, the game should let you. Unless you're playing fucking Pokemon and, you know, there's a binary cap when numbers don't go any higher than 256. You know, so I never really understood that. And it wasn't until the PS2 really that at least I started seeing RPG games where you could do more damage than that. The exception, of course, is this game. This game, there's the HP. There is a cap. I'm not saying there's not a cap. So I misspoke. There is no damage cap. There is no damage cap that I have seen in this game. I have seen damage numbers get up into the hundreds of thousands. The HP cap, which does exist, is 99,999. So 10 times the usual one. And as you can see, like, our character, you know, we're on chapter 2. We're not even a quarter of the way through the game yet. Barely even a fifth. And, you know, characters already have, like, you know, thousands of HP. Even our mage has over 1,000 HP. So, you know, so yeah, numbers get big in this game, you know, ish. And, you know, once they get really big and once I get weapons that, you know, unlock everybody's combos, that's when we're going to start to see, like, you know, on my turn. Okay, so this is the boss room. I actually don't want to go in here yet, because I know there's places I haven't been. Sorry. I know I said this would be quality content, and I still stand by that, but this is not a speed run. I do not do speed runs. I find them stressful and not enjoyable. I don't even like watching them, really. Yeah.
To my side, my noble Einherjar.
But,
No matter who the opponent, I shall
what was I saying? What was I saying? I can't remember. Something about fucking... Oh, yeah.
It might not go so well next time.
Yeah, you can break the damage limit, and it won't happen for a while, and when it does, it'll only be with certain attacks, because a lot of attacks in this game are multi-hit. You know, you get a lot of really powerful abilities that are powerful not because they do like one hit of like a giant amount of damage, but because they do many hits of a smaller amount of damage. And there's only a handful of it. Well, not a handful. It's actually fairly kind of evenly split. Yeah, you'll see that with the magic attacks. Like when I start getting big magic wands and scepters that do not break, which, thanks to us playing on hard mode, is going to be sooner rather than later. You'll see that, you know, there's attacks that hit, you know, the attacks that hit one time tend to do a lot more damage, and the ones that don't You know, the ones that hit only a couple times and don't do that much damage are almost universally considered garbage. You know, kind of a waste. Big magic, which you guys, I haven't really gone over yet, but basically there are certain scepters, and they're not necessarily the best. But basically what happens is that they basically make... Functionally what they do is they make your mage's PWS be multi-target, which is of course a big deal. But they aren't necessarily more powerful. In the end game, there are a couple of different wands and scepters that are both extremely powerful, or I can't remember if there's 2 or 3 or what the amount is. There is somewhere there is an unequivocally best wand or scepter with, you know, PWS, the ability to do big magic, and one without. And the one without isn't necessarily worse, it's just better for single target, and it's also very much dependent on the spell that you have set as your mage's default. That also matters for big magic too, because not all big magic is equal. Like, some spells are really good as a... I gotta pick this up and put this down somewhere where I can open it. What the fuck is that? That's an alarm. I'm like, oh, hold on. Oh, that's what it is. It thinks tonight is a work night, and it is not. So, hold on just a second. Alright. Yeah, sorry, I had to go turn that off. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like, when I, you know, I had something set up to where the emulator wouldn't pause when the window lost focus, but now I've disabled it, not only because it was kind of, I suspected it might have been fucking with the graphics a little bit, but also because, damn it, where's the other thing? There's something else in the swamp water. Or, well, maybe this guy's guarding it. But also because if I tab away from the window, it pauses the audio. So that's actually kind of handy in post, because I'll be able to go through and I'll be like, oh, there's no fucking music here, so I know to cut that out. And that'll jump out at me a lot, so, you know. I'm fairly certain that in however many years I've been doing this now, God damn, I think it's been 3 years. Holy fucking shit. Just got chills. Not sure if it really shows that I've been doing this for 3 years, but, you know, you do what you can. Pretty sure at some point in that time I've, you know, uploaded a video where there was something that I meant to cut out in it. So, I guess those will be embarrassing if anybody ever points them out, but, you know, I'd say not that worried about it. The trick step, you push the directional, you push the D-pad left, so towards the enemies, before an attack to perform, and basically it makes you, you know, the character steps back, the foe counterattacks, and then you hit them. I don't like using this ability as much because it kind of fucks up positioning a little bit. Like, different characters have different, you know, it's not noticeable right now because we're just fucking, you know, frying everything with lightning bolt. But, you know, different characters have different, you know, attack directions. Like, you know, like Juns are actually kind of annoying. Like, you know, there'll be 2 hits and, like, those arrows next to it say which direction they do. You know, which direction they force the enemy in. So, like, this attack knocks, you know, it doesn't knock back, but, you know, it edges the enemy in that direction with each hit. And this one edges them, you know, forward to the left and then knocks them up in the air. So, like, if someone is coming up and attacking with Jun and they have, like, a lower attack or even a horizontal attack that hits when the enemy's, like, way up in the air, you know, it'll miss. So like you have to like kind of pay attention to that. This game is really strategic in ways that a lot of other that really not any other RPG that I've played is. It's, I don't know. This game's very special. I really, really love this game, and not just because of the game. I mean, the gameplay kicks so much ass. I love the gameplay of this game. You know, I love the character progression. It feels good. It's hands-on, but not like too micromanagey. And the combat system is just, it's fun. Like, I mean, right now it's kind of not, but but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun to like, you know, not have like everybody like one person runs up attacks and they run back and the next person runs up. It doesn't work like that. It's like, you know, there's turns, yeah. There's, you know, it's not complete fucking anarchy. This isn't Nom, there are rules, but you know what I mean? Like that whole dogpile thing where like you know, every character gets to attack at once is really cool. So we just got the Demon Slayer, so that once we start running into some demon type monsters, that'll give us an edge there. There is another fucking treasure chest in this room. There we go. Nope, that's not. Just picking up the box. Try that again. Sorry, I'm not trying to like make you guys listen to that over and over. It's just like, if you kneel and press X in front of a treasure chest, that opens it. But if you're standing when you press X, you'll slash if there's no treasure chest there. But if there is, Valkyrie will kneel down and pick it up instead of opening it. So, oh, it is 49 minutes in. I know there's a few bits that have to be cut out, but that's still that's up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this episode, guys. And when I come back, I'll do some things in the menu, and I'll above all find that stupid treasure chest. And then when I cut back in, I will do that. I will cut back in on the display for whatever the treasure is, whenever the fuck I find it. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I will see you next time. We'll wrap up with this dungeon and then head back into the world map to go to the Salerno Academy. Later.